Hi everybody, welcome back. My name is Kevin and this is the third episode of Aquí Nomás, Aquí Nomás. I am so sorry for those of you who have been consistently waiting for me to make a new podcast. So here it is for you. I know it's been a while, but these are kind of fun for me to make personally because, as much as I sit here and try to formulate something to talk about, in a sense, I'm actually kind of delving into my own thoughts and my own opinions. And as much as it's seeming like it's more beneficial for someone else to listen, it's more beneficial for myself because I get to reflect on my own opinions and the way I think and what I really truly believe. So yeah, let's get started. So I was thinking about a topic and I've had a couple of requests, and a lot of people have been asking about relationships. Some general questions that I get is like, what do I have to do to love myself? Or when will you know that you're ready for a relationship? Or, when's the best time to XYZ, right? So I think it's a little bit more complicated than just diving into a relationship, and I can't say that every single experience is going to be the same for everybody. I mean, some people take a lot longer to fall in love. Some people, get married in a matter of months. It just all really depends on your chemistry and, your lifelong goals and terms. And so a lot of people ask, is this person the one? Is this person the one that I want to spend the rest of my life with? Or how can I find that one person? Or, when is it going to be the right time for me, And I can't say that I have all the answers to you, but hopefully my message is a little helpful to some individuals, going through that phase in their life right now. So I think before anything else, before we talk about getting into a relationship, about getting married and having kids, I think we need to just think a little bit more simplistic. I think we need to really delve inside of our own lives and really question and wonder, why is it that we want this relationship so bad? I think I used to be that kind of person. I was, a totally hopeless romantic. And, the idea of being in love and, having somebody to spend the rest of your life with was very appealing to me. And I don't want to refrain too much talking about my own personal experience, just because not everyone's personal experience is going to be the same. I can sit here and tell you about, my life and my stories, but it's not going to be anything similar to everyone else's in the world. So I want to keep it as general as I possibly can. So instead of questioning about, why, who is, when is it the right time? Who is the person I'm supposed to marry? I think the better question is to see, what's going on within ourselves. When people want to find love, it's usually they think that they want to find love within somebody else, but in reality, I don't think that's the case. I think personally, when people are in the search of love, they're in the search for love for themselves. And you're kind of saying okay, Kevin, that doesn't make any sense. I want to be in a relationship with someone else to take care of, and I want somebody to spend Valentine's Day with, and I want somebody to, settle in and, blah, 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 blah. And that's the funny thing, is that we constantly think about something else. We constantly think about oh, it would be so much fun, if I could celebrate something with, and it goes back to our needs. What do we want? What's our needs and our commitments? I'm taking a course in education, and it talks about I think it's called Maslow's. It's some Maslow's theory, and it basically says different stages of needs. We have tier level amount of needs. We have the most general safety and security is the most basic need, and then it constantly keeps going up. Relationships, and then after relationships, it's more of a personal success. So there are a lot of tiers when it comes to Maslow's theory, right? So hopefully, let's say that everybody has that security that we need. We all need food, we all need shelter. If you have that basic amount of necessity and need in your life, then we should all be thankful, because there are a lot of people around the world who don't unfortunately have that privilege. So take a moment to really think about the primitive things in your life. Having a place to sleep, regardless if you're sleeping inside someone's house or someone's room, at least you have some sense of security. You're not out on the street. Have you eaten today? That's also a big luxury. Some people go hungry every single day. If these are some needs that you're not getting fulfilled in your life, then you need to redirect yourself, and sometimes it's not your personal fault. Sometimes it's just society set up that way. And I highly suggest that everyone do anything they can to support themselves. I am not a really big judger, but it comes to basic needs, I think everybody needs to have some commonality, right? So hopefully, praying that like everybody has like a basic set of like survival needs. Okay, then it goes on to relationships. And having relationships with individuals doesn't mean necessarily have to be romantic ones. Like everybody needs a friend. Regardless of what you say, you can be extremely introverted or you can be extremely extroverted, but regardless, at the end of the day, you still need someone or more than one person sometimes to be in your life. We're social creatures. Regardless of how you like feel or express yourself, we need someone else to talk to. We need somebody just to be our friend. We need somebody to help us get through our day. And it's really hard because a lot of people, the world is very complex and everyone's personalities are extremely different, and it's so hard to make legitimate friends because you have to question what's their intention, their personality. Are there things that I don't like about them? Are there things that they don't like about me? So I totally understand that making friends is not the easiest thing in the world, but hopefully I wanted to create for my personal just like anecdote, I wanted to create a space where we all became friends. And I'm currently in the process of creating this strong community, and it's such a beautiful thing to see because sometimes I'll go on live on Instagram and I'll just see on the comments one another, people conversing with each other, and that's like such an amazing feeling. In reality, it's kind of like, yeah, we're all kind of strangers, on our phones, but in some really weird way, we're actually conversing more than we will, we usually do. So I think it's a beautiful thing. So I really thank everybody who is really supportive and welcoming. And I see some people constantly talking, giving compliments. Sometimes I see you all have things that are going on in your life, I'm so sad, or this and this happened, and you see just this beautiful amount of support coming from one another, and that's such an amazing thing. And especially in today's global technologically needed world, we see positivity coming from technology, and that's really beautiful because a lot of different platforms don't receive that amount of positivity with each other. So thank you for being a positive person. I love to see that on my channel. I like to see comments that are evoke positivity, so thank you for that. So regardless, we all need somebody to be our friend, right? And then we have a family as well. But family is a really complicated situation for some people. Some people have a really good family, they have a strong support system when it comes to their family. Some people don't have family at all. There's this absence of a big part of their lives, and unfortunately there's not much that we can do. So family is just kind of a conditional statement. The way that you define family is your own perspective. Some people can don't have to be blood related, but they might be so involved in your life that you consider them as family. So there's a lot of these little things, right? So when we're coming to that stage of relationships, right, we're talking about relationships with others, but we don't really talk about relationships with ourselves. And what the sad part is that as much as we want to find someone else to have a strong relationship with, we don't really question our relationship with ourselves. We constantly ignore that big chunk of our lives. We don't really question the need or necessity, or we don't really ask ourselves how's my relationship with myself? And I know that sounds a little unorthodox, but think about it for a second. What's your relationship with yourself? And even for me personally, sometimes I have a really complicated relationship with my own self. Now, I don't mean to sound like I'm, going off some tangent, but really ask yourself that question. How do you feel about yourself? What do you think about yourself? What do you want from yourself? What are the things that you exceed in your life? And what are the things that you need to work on? What are some things that you do that make yourself happy? What are some things that you do that make yourself sad? There's a lot of things that could, consist of a good relationship. And I think that's where we need to start. We need to redirect our attention to ourselves. What are we doing for ourselves? As much as that we want to make these strong connections with others, my philosophy is that we cannot have a strong sense of connection with someone else if we're not connected with our own selves. We need to be reconnected with our own true inner desires. You need to ask yourself, am I happy? And here's the thing. I think a big part heart of why people are so infatuated with this ideology of having a companion is because they expect that this companion is going to benefit them in some sort. So, you know, for those of you who are listening who are single, and you know you're in desperate desire to have like a companion, whether it's a boyfriend or girlfriend or something in between, whatever it is that you desire, you know, we are looking for someone else to make us happy. And I think that's the one step that's a big mistake that we do. We expect others to help us grow as a person. And I'm not saying that's a completely bad thing. Of course, we'll get into that a little bit more, but we don't ever expect ourselves to help ourselves. And that sounds kind of weird, right? To think like, okay, I'm going to ask myself for help, right? I mean, obviously not, but we don't really think about what can we do for ourselves. I was in that same position a couple of years ago. I really deconstructed myself. I literally went through this like life-changing experience. I really kind of isolated myself with everybody that I knew, and I got to a point where I was so lonely and I was so by myself. And sometimes it takes more than ourselves to realize our true value and our true worth. Here's like a good thing: if you can find somebody who sees the value that you don't even see in yourself, that's the person that you want to stay with. Okay, it's really complicated. I can't put this generic like cookie cutter shape, you know, answered for everybody, because life is not cookie cutter shape. I can't tell you, you know, oh, you're gonna find the love of your life when you go down to the park on a Saturday and you wear a blue shirt. You know, it's not like that. Life is very complicated. So don't take this, you know, so like hypercritically, but just take this as a good kind of message. You know, the person who is most right for you is the person who helps you grow for you. Okay, now I'm not saying that this person does everything for you, but this person sees something in you that you don't even see in yourself. And that's really important. That's what you really need in a strong partner and a life partner as well. And some of your friends might do this for you. It doesn't have to be a romantic relationship. Maybe your family members does this for you. Maybe your good close friend does. Maybe your neighbor does this for you. It doesn't have to be a romantic relationship. But I think if you want to have a strong romantic, consummate loved based relationship with somebody, this is a key factor that you need to input and look for in people. So it's all about working within our own selves. And once, let me tell you, once you fix yourself, once you dig deep and you figure out everything that's wrong with you and you do everything you possibly can to change, to become a better person, that's when you'll be ready for love. That's when you'll be ready to have a relationship. That's when you'll be ready to have someone help you grow even more. Like I said, sometimes you can't do this by yourself. Sometimes you really need that motivation, and sometimes you really need that push from somebody else. So hopefully this audio podcast does that for you. Maybe this message will give you that push that you need. Maybe you'll look in the mirror tomorrow or this morning and you'll look at yourself and you'll be much more confident, and you'll say, you know what, today is the day I decide to reconstruct myself. Today is the day that I leave all my negativity behind. Today is the day that I go see that psychologist, that I go see that counselor, and today is the day that I become a better me for me. The moment that you decide that and you become this empowered person, your life is going to be so much better. Let me tell you, I see this so much on social media. I can see so many people who are so unhappy with themselves, and it's not, you know, if you go through Instagram, you'll see like such like hate comments, like you'll see people just angry at the world, you know. And the sad part is that these people are the ones who are most desperate for love. The people who leave the most hate are so angry because they're not happy with themselves. And we don't need to be that kind of person, you know what I mean? It doesn't take a lot to fight evil. It just takes a really good heart and persistence. You have to really want to be a better person, and in order for the universe to, you know, treat you how you want to be treated, you know what I mean? If you think about it, it's really, really easy. It's like karma. Whatever you put into the world is going to give back to you. If you're constantly putting out negativity and you're constantly just unhappy with your life and you don't give yourself love, well, guess what? All that, it's going to come back to you, because that's how the universe works. You know, as we think about life is so complicated, it's so complex, and there's so many things that you need to do, and there's so many roads, and you just don't know. You know, sometimes life really isn't that hard. Sometimes we just have to live very simplistically. Think about it like that. Whatever you put in, you will get out. And I guarantee you that can be used for so many different topics. It's not just for relationship. It's not just for, you know, your personal gain. It can be for education. It can be for work. It can be for whatever subject that you think best suits that. So hopefully you can dig deep within your own self and really take some time and reflect. Okay, so now that we talked about, how, what can I do to like start this new me, right? So I guess we need to discuss like, how can I do this? I think writing helps me a lot. Find your thing, whether it's writing, whether it's art, whether it's doing makeup tutorials on YouTube, whatever it is. Do something that helps you become a better you, something that expresses yourself, something that makes you really grow. You need to really dig deep within yourself. I used to be a really better person. I used to be really angry a lot. And it wasn't until I finally admitted to myself what was really wrong with me. Then from there, I was able to change. From there, I was able to become a better person. If there's something that's deep that you've suppressed for a lot of years, as hard as it's going to be, you need to sit down and you need to extract it. You need to take all those demons out of the closet. You need to go dig deep within yourselves and say, you know what? This is my problem. I've been suffering my whole life because of this. I'm hurt. I'm angry. I'm sad. There's something that deep down in that you don't even want to discuss, and you know what it is, and you ignore it, and you constantly say, if I ignore it, it'll leave. And the moment that you decide to face your demon face to face and you win, that's when you live a happier life. That's what you need to do. You need to love yourself, and you need to fight those inner demons that we have. And I don't mean to get make this theological, but what I'm saying is that we need to really dig deep within ourselves and fix the problems from square one. Okay, once you dig deep within yourself and fix that problem and do whatever it takes to fix that problem, then you can move on to your next tier. You know what I mean? Then you can really fulfill yourself and be much more happier. You can find someone that's gonna love you for you. I think for me, the most saddest thing that I see is when I see women or men, it doesn't matter, whomever, when I see people in general who just love someone else so much and they don't love them back. That is a reflection of yourself. If you love somebody who doesn't love you back, that says that you don't love yourself. And you need to really like dig deep and really like reflect on that, because that's not a well lifespan. Our life is really limited and we don't have much time on this planet, but we need to do the things that make us happy, right? We need to just grow and be a better person. So the moment that you become a better person within yourself, then that's when I highly encourage you to try to find love. Then, and it's funny, maybe you don't even have to find love. Maybe love is just waiting for you. Maybe if you think about like, why haven't I fallen in love? Why haven't I found that perfect person? Maybe it's because you're not ready yet. And the moment that you are ready, it will come to you. Maybe it'll never come to you. Maybe you'll never like get married, and that's okay. We have this pressure from society tell us like, you need to get married, you need to have a boyfriend or girlfriend, you need to blah blah blah. No, you don't need to do anything in life. There is no cookie cutter requirements for you. Do what makes you happy. If you want a relationship and you know that you find someone that can be your pride and joy for the rest of your life, and someone who's going to support you and make you grow, and someone who's going to nourish you and you can nourish them, then go for it. Maybe you don't need that in life. Maybe you're so content and happy with yourself. That's totally fine. Don't be sad or don't discourage yourself if you're not the norm. It's totally okay. So I really hope that this has helped you. I know it was a little bit, I kind of went off on a tangent just because it's such a big concept and I want to be able to kind of hone it in to fit everyone's situation, So just to recap basically what I just said in the last however much time I've been talking, we need to dig deep and fix ourselves and love ourselves. And once you love yourself and you truly, truly love yourself unconditionally, then that's when you can start looking life differently. Maybe that's when love will come into your life. Maybe that's when you'll finally let someone go. Maybe that's when you'll finally, end in a relationship that you've been in that just hasn't been making you happy. You know what I'm saying? And then once you've done that, then it's your decision. Do you want to constantly look for somebody else? Do you want to just be alone for a while? Do whatever makes you happy. And then you'll see that life is just going to be so much crystal clear for you. And I hope, and I really wish everybody who's listening to this podcast, I really wish you like much love and much positive energy. I want to just inspire you all. And I want this platform to help you grow as an individual. As much as I'm telling you this, I kind of, like I said in the beginning, I'm reflecting on my own life and I'm saying, you know, am I living up to my word? Am I doing everything that I'm saying that I should tell, you know, that I'm telling people to do? That's really important. So thank you so much for listening. I really kind of love doing these because it makes me feel so much better. I feel enlightened. I feel inspired. I kind of want to go out there and just, you know, be a better person, change lives, and just, you know, be a happier person. That's what life is about. Life is about being happy and enjoying ourselves and being who we truly are, because that's the most beautiful gift that we'll ever receive. Okay, thank you so much, my gafas. I love you guys so much. You guys are the best thing that's ever happened to my life. Thank you. I will see you guys on the next podcast. Much love, and go ahead and comment down below if you have a personal experience like this, or if there's anything that you want to say. Please, I love to read your comments. I truly do read every single individual comment, and I try my best to either like hit your, you know, give you a like on your comment, or sometimes I try to, you know, reply if I have the time. So thank you so much, and I will see you guys on a next podcast. Okay, thank you. This is Aquí Nomás with Kpxii, and I'll see you guys soon. Okay, bye.